So what's going on in the mortgage world, you guys? Let's talk about that. I know the home sales were pretty low and interest rates are still pretty high. What's happening on your world, Roy?
I don't know. I mean, it's the same.
Yeah.
I was just having an interesting conversation in New York about why these conferences are useless. And I was having that conversation with about seven people. You're standing around on the sixth floor of the Marriott Marquis talking away from the crowd. And I said, um, this is a what did I say? I said this was the second decade of deja vu. I
Yeah.
said I'm just literally listening to the same garbage I was listening to 20 years ago that nobody has the capability to actually put in play. And that's why you don't see me in a lot of the pictures. I was actually out and about visiting friends and other
Yeah.
people in the city.
Yeah.
Um, I find no value in the conferences from a educational perspective. I do find value in the networking piece, but I don't find value in the in any of the information being given. I mean, interest rates or home values, most of it's become unpredictable. It's
Yep.
no longer trending with any of the indexes or anything else that we've been using for the last 25 years. So
Mhm.
that's useless. I mean, my sales tactics as far as people are vastly different than, figure out what it looks like, 2 weeks from now on interest rate.
Yeah. What do you think about these like invitation homes, I think it is, or companies like that that are rental communities? They're building homes for the purpose of renting them. They're just full communities for rentals. What do you think about that?
So BTRs are great. I was doing them 7, 8 years ago, building BTR communities. So one of my largest ones is actually in Texas. It's a 700 unit single family residence space, and they're all BTRs. We didn't sell a single unit. We
Mhm.
transition it strictly for the purpose of renting it out to people. So the home builder becomes the property manager.
Mhm.
Um, from a business perspective, it's absolutely worth it. Long term, it builds better yield than selling the home does on the immediate term. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I think BTRs are an excellent way to go. I just don't know that every home builder wants to be a property manager. It's not what they set out to do. But for
Yeah.
those that can figure out how to transition properly into, how to make money in the future, then they're going to make that transition.
Yeah.
Reality is, you know, there's more and more renters, and there always has been an increase on the rental side than there is on the ownership side. The ownership side, sure, there's a lot of homes owned, but the number of people that own homes decreases, even though the number of homes owned increases.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Also, I see a big lift in assisted living homes, like 55 plus, like complexes that are being built, especially here in Texas. We see three of them popped up here just in my area. Pretty large size too. That's another huge, even a mall here in Dallas is looking at making one of the malls is shutting down and making that an assisted living place. So I think it's very fascinating too that this is becoming, I think the whole sh shift is happening, especially with Gen Z who don't believe in home ownership as much. Actually, I find that they're probably a big part of the buying process, but their philosophy around like longevity in this is not the same. At least it feels that way. You know, the world is changing. So, Roy, thanks for sharing the stuff about the mortgage. But you do have a different look on life because you focus on it from a very positive. I kind you look at it from possibilities versus like struggle. But to your point, I always wondered why conferences exist like that, where they talk about, like, for instance, AI, but they don't have anybody that's under 40 talking about it. And I think you should have one of these Gen Z guys talking at these conferences. They should be there. I don't know if you've seen one where they had like a real like influencer out there that was actually doing the work actually out there talking, or just people that take things from YouTube, you know? So I was curious about that. Do they have any new people speaking, or is all the same rotation?
No, it's the same people over and over again. There's never anybody new. I mean, Florida will be the first time you're going to see somebody new
Mhm.
um, at an MBA conference, and actually, I'm spearheading most of that. So, MBA's Florida conference, the state conference, my business partner Joel, the 25-year-old, he's going
Yeah,
to be speaking there.
that's awesome.
He's got a full 45-minute slot with 15 minutes for question and answer breakout. So that's going to be new. That's never happened at any other MBA event previously. I also have, I'm really big into I don't drink, right? So I go to sleep pretty early and then I'm up really early to do things. So I just invited the NBA 5K
Mhm.
to become part of this program, which we've not had here in Florida before. So Monday morning we have a full 5K for all the attendees, which we helped organize, which is also spearheaded by a number of younger people,
Mhm.
less than the less than 35 crowd. And
Yeah.
so I run with them in that. As a matter of fact, last time I saw you in Dallas, I had just run that race the previous morning. So lots of things like that that we put in place, and it's for that reason. It's just stale, it's old, it's useless, it's repetitive, it's uneducating, and honestly, if you weren't into meeting people and hanging out with people, they're absolutely useless.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's one of the things I really love about what you have going on. I think you're a shaker. You're changing things up, but you're doing it in a very smooth, calm way, which is really cool. So I think it's really awesome you're doing that. So no one knows that you're making such a change, but they haven't seen it because it hasn't been so abrupt, but you're doing it in a very methodical way. So I think it's awesome.
No,
So
but Roy, when he said that, it made me think immediately of that Smooth Operator song, which we all love. Smooth
Hey, Sade.
Operator. Yeah, dude. You should do some kind of marketing with that song behind you because that your face, like that was just a really good connection. You should use that song in your marketing. I'm just putting that out there.
That's funny. I didn't know that see I knew you were doing a lot of shifting and changing. Even your whole concept around business, the way you do your model is different and it rubs wrong a lot of people. And a lot of people like in the mortgage industry feel like they're always they're in the red all the time and you're like, I'm good. So I think
Yeah,
it's
so that's actually a good observation. Part of the conversations I had up in New York, I was actually in a room where we were speaking for a little while. One of the gentlemen I was with pulled me aside, and they kind of just said, "Why do they seem like they don't want to speak to you?" And I was actually with Delilah and Marcus when that happened.
mhm.
Um, and I said to him, I said, "Most of the people in this room hate my guts. I have a opposite business model to them. My hierarchy gets paid very little to nothing, and my workers get paid an overabundance of what is actually made by the company as a whole. And that breaks the mortgage industry, which I'm happy to break."
Mhm.
Yeah, good for you, bro. You know what? Because listen, I've been going to these, it's all a bunch of shit talk. Like people pay an exorbitant amount of money to go to these things to talk about stuff that they're never going to do, to Roy's point. And like, if you really pay attention, you will catch them actually tell you that they're not going to do it. The last New Jersey NBA, I mean, I'm going to the one in a week just for fun, but last year I was there. I'll never forget it. Everybody's talking about AI, everybody. And I'm sitting there somewhat silent because I know that like everyone's using the word AI for automation and like trigger rules is also AI and like everything's AI. Fine. I'm just letting humans go. But, after 20 minutes of all this hype, the crowd dies out and the guy that again, huge mortgage company's like, yeah, I'll never do that stuff.
I know that's what's interesting.
Believe this
It,
is
but
happening.
But it goes back to the concept of not liking change. We want change, but we don't want to do it. And that's what's so crazy about our psyche. It's like we're so comfortable. We want comfort. We don't want threat, and we don't want change is a threat because it doesn't make us feel like ourselves. And so I think that's one of the things that I like about Roy's. But Roy's approach is almost like it's harangue. It's like it's very martial arts style. Like, it's like he's just doing it very smooth. He doesn't tell people what they need to do. He's just only talking about what he's doing if asked. And I think that's what's so powerful about it. So I think eventually people are going to catch on. But like I was sharing with this conference I just did, the people that do change, like the new people coming on the scene, can do things so much faster. And for those mortgage companies that aren't going to change, they're going to eventually just start dwindling off. I think a lot of people are, especially like realtors and brokers, because they won't change. They won't do anything. They say, I won't do that, like you said, Jackie. They just won't do it. They don't feel authentic, or they make some reason why they won't step into something that's new.
Well,
So, but
there is that, right? Like you become incredibly inauthentic when you use AI to do things for you. You just do. Like it's fine as a productivity hack, right?
yeah,
I use it all
yeah,
the time for that kind of stuff, research. But when you have it creating for you, you are not the creator any longer. And that runs out fast.
yeah,
But when you're the creator, right? That's a your lifetime
yeah,
well to choose from. And I think that there's going to be mortgage companies that are going to hold tight to not using AI, right? But they're going to be really good and they're going to become like the Cartier jewels, right? They're going to become the antiques of the world, but they're going to still be looked at as incredibly valuable, being
yeah.
able to do what they do well.
Interesting.
But these little shops that are just leveraging what can we do fast now to get ahead, I think in a year or two are actually going to be the ones that
Yeah.
will quickly be gone.
So I agree in some ways. I think marketing is definitely going to have to be upskilled for in the industry, but I think the authenticity is definitely going to stay. I mean, if you look at I mean, Simon Sinek talked about this just recently about how Apple separates themselves from Microsoft, and people are looking for authenticity, looking for something that feels real. And I think there's going to be a rebellion over time with all this AI just pushing like crazy, and there's going to be I need to know it's really you kind of thing. There's going to be that push where that's going to be the intro versus I hope you're having a good day. It's going to be I am real. This is not AI. That's what's going to happen. So I think to your point, it's going to definitely have a reverberation back to like authenticity and slow to roll kind of thing. And I think that's almost like grow your own food mentality. It's like it's this too much manufactured stuff is getting nauseating. And I do think that, but there's going to be a quick buck made. And that's what I was saying earlier about the guy that I spoke to about investing in the things that make that make this such a big wave, not focus on the front end noise, but focus on the back end that builds it. And I think that's where the investment is going to be very powerful. But anybody agree, disagree with Jackie or me, or what's your thoughts?
I'm curious as to why, Jackie, you think that the companies leaning heavily on AI will disappear in a year or two.
I'll tell you why. Because what I've seen so far, and this could change certainly, but what I've seen so far is a very surface level use, a very naive understanding of ability, and the wrong use, frankly. So I think what's going to happen is people are coming in. I'm going to use it here. I'm going to use it here. It's not necessarily going to be even beneficial for them using it there, but it's an easy hit win. It's what everybody else is talking about in the business. And I think once they start going down that path, the ROI on that doesn't play long term, and then they're going to pull back. But in all of that, you become very much dependent on a machine to create your ideas and your thought process. And
Yep.
it's for three, it's also part of a startup. So
Yeah.
you got to have longevity there. And I just don't see it playing out when they're heavily using that.
Can I
I
interject what you just said though? Scott, you answer this question too. If AI is generating emails, massive emails to send to 1,000 people at a time, and we have millions of people doing AI, using AI to do that, how relevant are emails going to be in the next year?
Yep,
Okay.
that's fair. Yeah,
So,
I just had the same conversation with Justin. It's kind of AI in that Lobby CRE is importing apartment data and analyzing it. And it's I'm finding more things when I analyze it myself. There's that human aspect of being able to actually look through it and see it. And maybe we're not using the software correctly. Maybe we're not telling it to flag the right things, but
I'd love to help you with that. I would love to help you with that, friend. For real, that stuff gets me up in the morning.
Jackie just came through the camera. She almost grabbed your dog there.
I'll, I'll send you a message.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm shocked the dog didn't jump. It's like, whoa.
But like to that point, right? You just said it. Maybe we're not telling it to analyze things in a way that's presenting it to you to make
Right.
to be able to see all those things from the data out of the AI, right? Like I'll tell you guys this because you're my friends, but I don't advertise myself as a consultant. I'm a very exclusive club. I don't play around. If you want to work with me, you're going to have to want to get things done. I'm not the kind of consultant that's going to take your money to tell you bullshit. I don't waste my time. And getting into this whole AI thing is really about identifying the right use. And in our business, people have been trying for about a cool decade now to automate underwriting.
Mhm.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous thought process. My idea is you AI and automate everything around the underwriter. You treat the underwriter like the human king or queen they are, because at this juncture, we still need that. And you just fly. And I built an entire startup business model on it, and we dominated. We dominated our area. They're still going. But everybody looks at this like, how do we save the most money with AI? How do we do the most with AI? How do we let AI do everything? No. Find out what is the most important thing. To Scott's point, right? Like, I could see more stuff, I can hear more in it. I can do more with it. Let that human be a master superhuman and use that, but we don't want to do that. We want this one idea of how to use it in our business. And I think that's where people are going to lose, because they're going to shoot too high for complete laziness and having it do everything instead of using it surgically in the right areas
What you're
to
saying,
elevate.
Jackie, is what I was saying earlier. We want things easy. We look for the easiest way, and we sell easy all the time, and that becomes the biggest noise. And so, automating everything, making it where you can just, clap and turn your light on, basically. That's really the key. I don't want to get out of bed to turn my light on. So, and that's the key. Is like that's the downfall of ourselves, but it's also the greed of ourselves. And yeah, so you have a lot of noise right now. You have a lot of apps that have really cool names, and a lot of tech that has a lot of cool names that does the exact same thing. But it's really interesting what you said. I believe what we're doing is we're making everything so mass produced that we lose value in the way we do it. So we're going to have a new way of communication soon. We just haven't seen it yet, but something's going to happen where we're going to shift and have to find another way to interact with people and to get leads, to talk to our clients, talk to people that might want to use us. It's going to be more, in my opinion, to what Roy's doing, really, is really more social, back to this like face-to-face interaction is going to be the only way to feel trusting, because it's not a screen. I think we're actually going back to like the archaic days of like human nature. I think we're pushing ourselves there because of all this noise, in my opinion. So, anybody else agree? I think Roy, you agree. You're already there. Uh,
I do and I don't with what was said in the last couple of minutes. So yes, from a sales perspective, like, Mike, I'm not sure what you did, but I just feel like you were a salesperson at some point in your mortgage career. But like when I think about salespeople, like when I've heard Mike speak here on this phone, right? Like his voice is um warming. I want to speak to him, right? I want to listen to him because of the way he speaks. So I believe that that part of the business will always be there. That relationship will have to exist. It will change. It has changed. Has changed numerous times. The middle portion of the business, however, I don't believe needs the underwriter or the processor or any of those things, right? Like, look, I've already moved my entire processing operation overseas. There's nobody here in the United States, right? There's not a single human being here in the United States. Why? Because my processing costs are 1/50th that of the U.S. lending institutions.
mhm.
Literally, right? I have no burden rate, no benefits, no 401ks, no payroll. I send one wire a month to a group over there. I pay $300 to have a file completely processed, whereas a person in the US is paying $6,000 a month to have whatever number of files processed. But I'm getting an entire thing done, and we pay based on closing. So that processor could work their ass off. That file doesn't close, they don't get paid anyway, right? So the model is vastly different than what's here in the US. On the same side of that, my underwriting is mostly overseas. And the reason for that is because I don't need a human underwriter anymore. I need one person here who can sign off on DE and HUD stuff that needs a physical signer here in the US. So there's a reviewer. But outside of that, my chat GPT is out underwriting my underwriters. And I don't mean like a little bit. I mean like spanking them so bad that they're not sure if they should have a job anymore themselves.
Wow.
I
Well, you
mean,
Question though,
still
Drew,
have,
are you
literally,
focused strictly on 30, or are you focused on any products that are unique, or are you just very
of
stream?
course.
Okay.
So I'm 56% non-QM. So
Okay.
almost majority of my business is not traditional.
Okay.
And so when I think about how I'm doing this, right, ChatGPT has been a phenomenal use case for us. We've taken Fannie Freddie guidelines, we've taken HUD guidelines, we
Yeah.
upload them into our chat accounts every month. We don't let GPT go out there publicly and obtain the information. We upload it every month so that it catches all the amendments, all the changes, all the notes, and all the notices, right?
Yeah.
We have now just started doing that from NMLS, and we just started doing it from two other sources that are our non-QM sources, right? So one's from the Angel Oak guideline provisions, and the other one's from Deep Haven. So we tried to get some aggregators in there.
So
And
wait, let me ask you a
now,
question though. Are you
yeah.
starting an agency where your people are using you, they come in through you and you're filtering it and charging them a fee to do what you do?
So the difference between me and Nexa is that I don't charge them a fee. And that's why they come to me, because they're getting all that stuff for free.
Mm,
And, think about it. Like, my interest rates are vastly competitive, right? Because my margins are 2.25.
yeah.
Most companies' margins are sitting at 3 plus.
Yeah.
So my margin's 2.25, and I'm letting the LO keep 140 of those basis points.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no fees, there's no nothing.
Yeah.
My people on average are making anywhere between 25 and $30,000 a month for
Mm,
1/10 of the closings,
wow.
right? They're closing 4 or 5 loans, walking away with $30,000 in a month, and other people have to close 20 or 30 loans to get close to that number.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, we're going to put
major
this on. You're
difference.
going to get a lot of people need to hear more about you. That's why you're speaking to these conferences too. But you have to know when you're speaking at conferences, you're freaking out a lot of people that have loan officers there.
Yeah, I am. I am absolutely freaking out. A lot of the bigger companies. I've noticed that some of my previous peer group is avoiding conversations with me.
Yeah.
So my previous peer group, vast number of C-level executives in this space are trying to avoid certain conversations. But then again, there are those that are, forward thinking, like Kirk Donaldson from Halcyon, who tries to put me in front of everything and everybody. Michael Kelleher, who literally walks around conferences telling everybody that this is the person you need to meet. Meanwhile, I'm trying to shy away from that, going, please stop introducing me to people. But just going back to the underwriting piece for a second, my ChatGPT results have now, on more than about 7 or 8 occasions in just the last 2 months, taken an underwriter's work and literally undone it. We've been able to go to their bosses and say, hey, here are the excerpts, here's the rules, here's where it comes from, here's everything in writing. Please change these conditional approvals to match what it's supposed to be. And they've all agreed.
Wow.
so to your point, like you are describing exactly what I'm talking about. You still have a human there signing that DE because Fannie, Freddie, they want a human signing the DE. But you're doing exactly what I'm talking about, Roy, right? Like automating AI, and AI was not available for me back then, but doing everything around that DE underwriter that has to sign off on it so imagine if you have now 10 DEE underwriters and your chatbots are running in front of them the volume that you can produce, right? I think you're brilliant. I have one question for you, sir, because I have similar bots and I want to know, why did you make the decision that you didn't let them self-service to the sites to download the guides, the updates? Why are you feeding them manually versus letting them self-train?
So the reason for that is because, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're breaking up though. Your face is gone. You're frozen. But
Oh, is it back now?
yeah, it's
There we
back.
go.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I was switching from my headpiece. The reason for that is because in the first few months, we found that if we let chat go out and get it themselves, it was returning incorrect information. So it's missing notices or it's missing something else. Ashley got caught with that with an NMLS item, and that's when we just started deciding, hey, let's feed NMLS into chat too and see if it helps. And
Right.
so we did. We fed all of it in there, and we do it every month versus letting chat go out and just look at NMLS on its own or Fannie or Freddie on its own. the notices and the small updates that chat may not be instantly looking for have helped us tremendously. My processors are now completely going back to underwriters at different investors on the broker side, and even to my investors on my correspondent side, on my non-delegated side, and saying, hey, this is the incorrect underwrite. You know what kind of slap in the face it is for an underwriter to get told
Yeah.
that from a processor?
Wow, that's a big slap. So you
Yeah.
guys, let's revert this back to like everybody's conversation. So
Sorry. Yeah,
it's okay.
sorry.
No, but I think it's interesting because this is just showing us how different the world is compared to what it was 5 years ago. I mean, it's changing businesses as a whole, in companies as a whole. I mean, can AI help us understand our massive audience, understand our brand, understand how we should market ourselves, should understand what our people that come to us prefer, like what works best for them. I mean, there's a lot of good things for it, but to your point, Jackie, we leverage it to the point where we stop being creative and we just let it write for us. I think there is a part of us that's going to pick that up instinctively. We won't feel that human element of I would say imperfection that happens with humans. I think that's probably the key that I think we're looking for is that imperfection in our interaction with people. And I think that's where we're losing sight of AI. I think we're leveraging it to the point where we're letting it speak for us. So I think that's a real big danger. So, and Vera, you're into the space of like wellness and illness. Have you seen like a struggle with AI affecting people's belief systems in themselves, how they see themselves, how they think they should be, those kind of things?
Hi, y'all.
Hey,
So good to be here. I missed you guys. Um, it's just like what Roy was saying and what Jackie was saying on a mix is I think what's happening is just like back in the day. Remember Blockbuster? Remember the red box when it came out and everybody's like, this is not gonna work. And then all of a sudden, Blockbuster fail and it's gone. There's no more Blockbusters. Is we use it or use it in a good way, or are we gonna end up breaking it? Right now, there's a lot of people that are afraid. With the people that I've seen on my world of wellness or in healing, a lot of people are just scared. And then they go by the media, they go by the fear, they follow what everybody. Oh no, because now they're gonna take over, and I see it as AI is kind of like I consider as our higher self, because if you can talk to it, you can ask advice, you can use that to help you make this life experience a better experience.
mm-hmm.
Or you can go fear-based and like, no, I'm not gonna even go there, I don't even want to talk about it. But then there's this kind of people like Roy that comes out and like blew out of the water.
So
And
let
then
me
you're
let
like,
me let me let me interact a little bit because here's what I think is really interesting, and I want you guys to help me understand this because if I were to post a video, say 8 years ago on YouTube or even on LinkedIn, I would post the video because I feel like posting it, regardless of who likes it or not. But now you can ask AI to give me all the hashtags that get the most followers. What video creates more likes? What topic is most important to gets the most engagement? And so now I'm skewed. Instead of being me, I'm actually being what the majority would want to see. Do you guys see a challenge with that? Do you see there's a problem with that? Because now I'm losing my
your
authenticity to the purpose
authenticity.
of being
Exactly.
liked, right? So
Yes.
that's where I feel like the danger lies is because we're not really we can falsify that we're being authentic when actually what we're actually being is something that is going to get more likes, which means I'm not me.
Mhm.
I think that's
100%. I think that's where the danger is. That's
yeah.
where you need to be like, okay, where do I stop in AI starts? Like where can AI help me instead of, for example, you write something beautiful. It's from your heart and you wrote it. You can use that. For example, I did my website. I wrote, and then I'm like, like it's not 100%, it's not there yet. I know I wrote it is great, but I could be better. So I just go to ChatGPT and like, hey, can you rewrite this? And then you rewrite what I wrote, and then I read, and it's like, great. Or I can even change. Oh, make it more less words, make more summary, make it more appealing. But I'm making it my way. I'm not saying go ahead and make it for me.
Mhm.
Because again, goes back to our human mind. We our mind has rules, and the rules are very simple. It's just keep us comfortable. And
Yeah.
that's why some people stay in abused marriage, in terrible situations for 20, 30, maybe their whole life sometimes. Why? Because our brain it's better stay here on the familiar, even if it hurts, than go out and try something unknown.
Yeah. No, I agree. I just think it's very interesting how we find, like, as I was trying to do this video for this podcast, I watched a video on how to upload the best way on YouTube. And there's a lot of things you have to do that, you never think about. You just think, okay, just upload a video. But there's all these little things that you have to do before you upload for it to actually be seen. And it's a whole class you have to take, basically, and then people are posting videos on how to upload a video. And one of the things they focus on is really understanding the power of finding your subject line or your title. And you Google the best titles and see the best views. And it's like, well, then if I'm gonna title it like them, then I'm not, but I wanted to title it this way. So should I just title it the way I want to title it, or should I title it the way that I should title it to get the most views? That to me is like the that to me is the danger. It's like we're becoming high focused. We're becoming just high focused, and the reality is shifting because we're creating the reality based off of mass persona, and that doesn't mean it's actually real. So it's just fascinating to me. But we can talk about
And,
this.
and then you get your words then begin to escalate, because if everybody's using this word, now it escalates to another thing, and then escalates to another thing, and then where do you draw the line between, hey, I'm reaching a wider audience, to clickbait,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
hyperbolic, to deceptive?
Yeah. And that's exactly my point. And I think we've been there already. We've been there for several years already with influencers on YouTube and everything they say. If you listen to the wording, how they start the talk, and how they say, but you got to listen to the end. I mean, it's all the psychology on getting people to stay on there and engage. And they talk with validation and all these things. It's just, for me, it's just a matter of game playing. And it's just what I said, it's snake oil. I said that a long time ago, but we're still repeating the same behaviors. But I think it's more dangerous now because it's on a global scale versus a local scale. And to me, that makes it bigger. But I think we hit a lot of topics today, but I thought it was pretty fascinating to hear about what Roy's doing. I do believe Roy is a game changer in the mortgage industry, but as slow and steady as Roy, and he's going to definitely make a big impact. And Jackie, you guys should talk. I really think there's a lot of conversation between you two that's kind of contradictory, but the same at the same time. I think it'd be kind of fun to hear you two interact on the mortgage scale. That alone should be its own conversation.
We should totally do a chat at a conference, Roy, the both of us on a stage. You want to talk about some interesting new context?
Yeah.
We could do that.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool because there is a danger. People don't want to hear it, especially those who are in control of their businesses. But to your point and what we're just saying, people are afraid of change, but they have to hear it. And I'm glad that Roy, you got your guy speaking. I think it's so refreshing to have a young person come and speak. To your point, I was always wondering why so many old people are talking about new things. So no offense, but even myself included. But I think it's really cool to see that happening. So I look forward to hearing more about that. So awesome. Well, it's good seeing you guys.
Jackie,
Mike.
I've got a good friend up at the New Jersey Mortgage Bank Association. Her name's Ashley Gravano, but we can. I talk to her regularly, but maybe we can set something up. I am actually a member of the New Jersey MBA, so.
Yeah, I'm 45 minutes from Atlantic City, and I'll take any chance I get to come talk mortgage down there by the ocean. So yeah, I'd love an intro with Ashley. I'll be there in a week, so I'd love to meet her.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Jackie,
Well, any last words from Mike? Any one-liners, Mike? You always have the great one-liners. Anything come to mind?
I just want to say that I find all of this stuff very fascinating, but what I do not hear, and I think is where we are missing it in business, is the personal development, the personal communication skills, the personal knowledge skills are slipping away in favor of automation.
Yeah.
And I think a loan officer should know more than a processor and should be on par with an underwriter.
Mhm.
And that's not happening. A loan officer is just supposed to go get the business. Maybe I will never be the most productive, but the relationships, I believe, would be stronger. So I think that we're missing the boat on personal development for loan officers, particularly in the mortgage business, on forcing them to improve their skill set, their communication skills, their interaction with clients. Would you rather have a client sit in front of you and said, "Hey, I got your email, that's why I'm here," or "Hey, Julian said I should talk to you, you're going to be able to help me"?
Mhm.
Which client do you want in front of you?
Yeah.
And I always preferred the guy who already trusts me because his best friend said, come see me. And I don't see that happening as much anymore.
Yeah, you know, you hit a, oh man, that's exactly what I want to talk
Oh,
about
nice
next
one.
time. Because that's what I was talking about in the seminar about how social media has changed that trust factor. It's redefined the concept of trust. So 100%.